How do everybody? This is Let's Be Real, Brad, and today I'll be talking about the older movie that came out earlier this year that was a big hit. The 2020's The Invisible Man. This is a remake of the 1933 Universal monster classic film The Invisible Man with Claude Rains that I did watch in preparation of watching this film from earlier this year, and it is a very different movie from that film, and I really enjoyed that movie. I think I probably gave him the same rating for their own reasons, but I think for that movie, for its time, I think it's really enjoyable. It's cheesy, it's goofy, but it's something I like. I'm just gonna go right off the bat is say that they changed the whole premise. They could have just kept the whole Invisible Man thing and focused centrally on him. But no, it's actually focused on the Invisible Man's victim in this film that I think is really interesting, and it changes the whole narrative. And also you have this modern take that truly feels like it's a modern take, because if they just redid the 1933 version, it wouldn't have been as interesting in my personal opinion. I gotta give respect to Leigh Whannell and the story team, and just using a small budget to just make this entertaining, terrifying, and just at times disturbing horror film. So I thought it was really enjoyable. Let's get off with a big positive is Elisabeth Moss. She is excellent in this film. She sells every single scene. She captivates every single scene. I just love the way that you can feel the pain and terror in her eyes, in her body language, throughout the entire time. Without her, I don't know if this movie would be as good, because she just rocks, and everything really does rely on her, because so much in the movie is on her, and if she does not pull that off, the rest of the movie's gonna fall down. And I really do like what they did with her character, especially in the first half. The first half is really, really awesome, and I thought it was super enjoyable, and I do wish it went that way for the rest of the film, and we'll definitely get into where my issues lie in more the second half. But mainly in the first half, with Elisabeth Moss' performance and her character, I thought it was a really interesting take of how she is just so paralyzed and feels so mentally drained, and someone always on the back of her shoulder just looking at her, and it's just a creepy feeling to have, and it really shows in those opening moments of the film where it just throws you into this crazy action scene and you don't really know what's going on, and it has very subtle messages that you have to kind of read and understand and make sure you're paying attention, because it will tell you everything you need to know about this film. The writing is really solid, and I really enjoy the way they edit, especially in this first half. And I really thought that whole idea, it made me feel for her so much, and I really love that aspect. And there are times where the Invisible Man kind of comes in and he doesn't mess around, and he's just beating her up, throwing her across the room, and you can't see her, and I love the way it's shot, and I don't know how they use the CGI, but I thought it was worked very effectively, as you don't see him, and by her performance of reacting to these situations with no one touching her is a pretty hard thing to do, because on screen you're just gonna be like, oh, 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 like, please don't hurt me, oh, oh.
No, please wait.
What happens in the second half, I think it falls apart a little bit, but I still think the movie is pretty good. And what I mean by it falls apart in the second half is it kind of goes from more of this typical horror Blumhouse film where there's a lot of action that picks up, and sometimes it's a little silly. There's a lot of dumb decisions that are made. And I think because the first half feels so serious, once you get to the second half, you're like, okay, this is a little ridiculous. But I will admit, though, the kills are pretty brutal. They are really bloody, and they're really graphic, especially in the dinner scene. That really had a jaw-dropping moment. That was really, really done well. I also really enjoy the music. I thought it was pretty solid. There's nothing amazing. I mean, there are points where it does sound really good, and there's other moments, especially in that second half, where it does sound kind of generic, and it's something you've definitely heard before, which is a little disappointing to say the least, but that's just what happens with Blumhouse projects. It's just bound to happen. Leigh Whannell's directing is really, really good here, and it shows that he did the last movie Upgrade, he's done Saw, and he still proves that he can shoot horror movies so well and have this effective disturbance going on. Sure, this movie isn't really scary, but to me, I know I'm not going to be scared. And maybe that's just my thing, because I have seen that as a complaint. But me going in, you're basing off a Universal monster character, and it's going to be more of like a monster movie, even though it's just like a really like just a guy with science fiction elements. It's more of a stalker kind of movie. So I'm looking more to have fun and just kind of on edge. But maybe that's just because I don't really get scared at a lot of horror films, and I have watched a lot of horror films. So I'm not too sure, but I had a fun time with it. So I'm going to give The Invisible Man a 7 out of 10. Let me know, have you guys seen The Invisible Man? Have you seen the original one? I would love to hear your thoughts on both. What are other Universal classic monster films you'd like to see reimagined? Because there's plenty of them I would like to see in the right hands. If you guys really enjoyed this video, please like and share the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. It means the world that you guys have subscribed and liking my video and watching my videos. That's a really cool thing. Really enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.